This week in Court TV history.
8 years ago, July 5th, 2011, Casey Anthony is found not guilty of murdering her daughter, Kaylee. Followers of the trial were outraged. The jury also found her not guilty of aggravated child abuse and aggravated manslaughter of a child. The 25-year-old defendant was found guilty of 4 misdemeanor counts of providing false information to police. She was sentenced to 4 years with credit for time served and walked out of the jail about 2 weeks later. This week in Court TV history.
You know, folks, as I sit here 8 years later to the day, I'm still as shocked tonight as I was back then that this jury sent her home after watching all the evidence and seeing one of the most dramatic moments was when you saw the skull of Kaylee Marie, and when it was lifted up, you saw the duct tape that was across her face. It was still connected to the strands of hair that were still there. And when we saw that photo, which we didn't show on television, but which the jury saw and those of us at the trial saw, I was like, okay, well, you know, the defense argued during their opening statement, which is not supposed to be an argument, but they actually said during opening statement this was a drowning, and then put forth no evidence of a drowning and said we knew all along what happened here. Why, if a child drowned, would you put duct tape over her mouth and nose and have it connected to her hair? Why would you do that? Why would you cover up an accident to make it look like a murder? It's utterly ridiculous. Yet the jury said not guilty. Now, the other part of this is during some of the pretrial hearings, the defense, who again stated in their opening statement that it was an accident all along, she was never missing, investigated a bunch of people, including the boyfriend of Casey Anthony at the time, Tony Lazzaro, who was the one who used to throw those hot body contests. He was a student over at Full Sail. Jesse Grund, her former fiance. There were all motions and papers submitted in court trying to get information and investigating these two guys, as well as Roy Kronk, the meter reader who found Kaylee Marie's body. So why would the defense spend 1 second investigating anyone else on any other theory if all along this child just drowned and was never missing? Let me bring in my think tank and ask him that one. Like, I understand the job of criminal defense attorneys. The foundation of our system is a vigorous defense. But if you know all along that it's an accident and she never was missing, why are you investigating the boyfriend, the ex-fiancé, and the poor meter reader? All he was doing was hanging out in the woods, relieving himself, and found the remains.
You've heard the expression throwing spaghetti against the wall and seeing what sticks. Mm-hmm. Sounds like that's what he did, and frankly, it worked.
It worked, okay.
And I will tell you this, it's the prosecution's responsibility to point out how ridiculous that looked. Not the defense's, the prosecution's. They could have done it, they somewhere failed.
But why even do it? Like, why would they do that? Why would they investigate these other people if they had nothing to do with the child's death?
Well, but you have a theory, but that doesn't mean that your theory prevents you from investigating other theories.
Okay, let me stop you right there. You have a theory. You have the defendant who knows exactly what happened. So why does the defense even have theories? They should have facts. She knew exactly what happened. So why do you have to have theories? It's not a mystery, right?
She told her lawyer.
She knew. That's what I'm trying to understand.
And defendants don't always tell us all of everything. Right. You know, we sometimes are trying to figure it out as we go along and trying to figure out what exactly is going on here. So, you know, they normally don't say, you know what, I did it.
This is not admitting to any crime. This is saying an accident happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right, but he doesn't know.
But even when they're telling, understand this, Vinny, when they're telling these stories, they're always telling it in the light that's most favorable to them. So in the event that the daughter did drown, the way the story is going to be told is that there was absolutely nothing she could have done at any point in time to prevent this.
I think mixing the parents into it kind of got it messier as well. The father could have possibly been involved, it sounds like. But I do think it does come off a little bit disingenuous to suggest that it could have been a drowning when then you don't present any evidence, and then it also seems like you were investigating other theories, so if you had known it,
right,
you would have never done it. So I think that's what you're saying, which means that they probably didn't have proof of that.
One big picture question here, and I understand the job of the prosecutor, which is to justice, the truth. You don't prosecute innocent people. You don't come up with theories that you know are not true. Are defense attorneys obliged to the same standard, that you cannot make arguments you know aren't necessarily true, or arguments that are false?
Well, your job is to present everything and let the jury decide. You don't get to play God, as a defense attorney even. And the only person that gets to make that decision is each and every juror together as a group after careful deliberation. So at the end of the day, that's how it always should be.
All right, now you mentioned, Rachel, you mentioned the mother and father. They were a big part of this story, a big part of this case. Each of them testified at trial multiple times, on and off the witness stand, sitting there in the gallery watching the entire thing, because they were also victims in the case, because it was their granddaughter who was dead. There were some phone calls, you may remember these, when Casey Anthony was locked up and visited by her parents. Well, all those calls were recorded. Take a look.
You'd be surprised the crap that's coming,
No,
that
Mom,
people
but see,
think
that's
that
just
they...
it. I'm not surprised at the crap that's coming. That's another reason I don't want to hear any of this media. People want to have their face on the news, want to have their 2 seconds of fame. I never once wanted to be on TV or to have anything, period, let alone it be the worst catastrophic thing that could happen not only to myself but to our family. I mean, it doesn't surprise me what people are going to do or say to try
Well,
to get
there's
attention.
only a few people, Casey, because everybody that knows you, the
Oh, I
thing
know
that
that.
they're
It's the
saying
people
most
that
is that
don't.
you're the mom of the group. You're the one that always takes care of everybody else.
That's how it's always been. It's the truth.
I know, because you're a lot like me.
I'm a lot like you. You're exactly right. And that's what people have said. They're like, wow, your mom's a real spitfire. People have been talking you up like crazy, and they're like, I wouldn't piss her off. No, you wouldn't. They would
I'm not
respect
trying
you more than anyone else.
All I'm trying to do is find Kaylee for both of us,
Oh, I know.
for all of us. And I'll do whatever it takes.
I feel the exact same way. That's exactly what I've been saying. I don't care what I have to do. When I told them I would lie, I would steal, I would do whatever by any means to get her back. That's exactly how I feel. It's the truth.
Casey, we have to find her before her 3rd birthday.
Mom, I know
That's
that.
coming up fast.
I know we have a couple weeks.
I don't want to wait another minute, let
I
alone...
don't want to wait another minute. I want her to be found whether I'm still stuck in here or not. I don't care.
I think once she's found, then you can tell everybody what you know, and you'll be released. Don't you think?
Potentially, I don't know. Yuri has it set in his mind that I've done something.
Well, he thinks you guys did something to Kaylee.
And once again, remember, she knows all along that this was an accidental drowning. So is it possible, Rachel, like we were saying before, that maybe she lied to her defense team all along and never told them, and was making up other stuff and didn't tell the defense team that it was just an accident? Wouldn't, and if you're facing the death penalty, wouldn't you want them working on your case a little harder with the truth?
I think what you're getting at is that there was no evidence that the child drowned, and she would have been lying to them if she said that that's what happened. So they just kind of went with that, and I think it could have. They had a pool, right?
They had a pool in the backyard.
Yeah, so
absolutely.
they just start throwing things around. People can imagine that happening to their children. Watching that clip, those parents, this is why the jury could have possibly thought that the parents were either in on it or had done it.
A lot, and I'll tell you what, a lot of people I've talked to have said that through the years. And my own theory is they had nothing to do with it, and that they were put in a very difficult position by their daughter. But we shall see. We've got a lot more to talk about. We're going to switch gears, though, but we're going to stay in the same exact courthouse. Back to Florida and Scott.